Hello, this is Spellbinder Report. I got more unfiltered news from the reality zone. Political correctness not spoke here. This is January 22nd through the 28th. And here is the headline comment. This little piece here is pretty funny. Let me explain. This is caused by global warming. Huh? Yes, right. I've heard that lately. The global warmists are now saying that this freezing is caused by global warming. Anything to sell you a tax. Yes. Anything to sell you a tax. They'll make up anything. They'll tell you anything you want to believe about global warming, and so they can take money from your pocket and put it in theirs. Yes, they are. But here's the headlines. As quickly as I can, let me do the headlines if I can. Rhyme. Egypt. People are rioting over poverty, unemployment, rising food costs, and other effects of collectivism. Some internet and phone communications have been disabled. Yes, they shut them off so they can round up the people and put them back in their spot. I see that coming to America sometime. They'll just shut everything down so nobody can communicate with each other to tell others what's happening to them. The mobs demand change but have no concept of a better way. So all they are likely to get is a new leader as bad or worse than the old. Yahoo reported that. U.S. food prices are increasing at an alarming rate. Wheat has risen 11% in the last 7 days. Corn is up 94% since June. The expanding money supply and other warning signs are clear. Double-digit inflation is very near. Do you still have your savings in dollars? Economic collapse, 2011, on July 28th. Monsanto wins again. Department of Agriculture has fully deregulated GE, genetically engineered alfalfa. Now it can be grown anywhere and infest any other plant that it gets in contact with. It's already is known that GE alfalfa will contaminate other plants, including organic alfalfa. That will kill the organic alfalfa industry and cripple alfalfa exports because many countries have banned GE crops. It will also be a blow to the organic meat and dairy industry. The case now will go back to the courts, but meanwhile, the irreversible damage will be done. Des Moines Register, yesterday. California community announces it no longer will accept cash in payment of utility bills. To protect against terrorists, of course. This may seem like a little matter, but collectivists want to eliminate cash completely so all financial transactions can be traced by credit card or check. This is a small but definite step towards that goal. Prison Planet reported that yesterday. An academic study finds social networking, instead of bringing friends together, creates mutual isolation networks that detach people from meaningful interactions and make them less human. Natural news. Himalayan glaciers are not melting because of global warming, according to a new study from the universities of California and Potsdam. Instead, they are advancing. Last year, the UN claimed the Himalayan glaciers would completely disappear by the year 2035. They lied for a carbon tax to take money from your pocket and put it in theirs. U.S. grocery prices have shot up over 50% faster than the official rate of inflation. In other words, the official rate of inflation is not accurate. It should be increased by 50% or more. More natural news. Yesterday, U.S. Virginia State House of Delegates passes the Intrastate Commerce Act to nullify any federal regulation of economic activity that is entirely within the state. This is very good news. Collectivists have used a tortured interpretation of the Commerce Clause in the U.S. Constitution to justify virtually unlimited federal power over activities within the state. Nullification is a constitutional way to reverse that trend. Let's hope that other states soon follow suit. So maybe the organic milk people will be able to sell their organic milk within state, because they've been saying that they've been trying to transfer it outside the state and other things. U.S. Virginia legislation ends mandatory HPV vaccine for young girls 4 years after overwhelmingly approving it. U.S. Social Security now is losing $45 billion per year, and the fund will be completely drained by 2037. That is the optimistic view. The realistic view is that the fund already is drained because it has no money, just government bonds, which are IOUs. As long as the government is controlled by collectivists from both major parties, Social Security will continue to fall short, and eventually it will be obvious that the whole system is funded entirely from taxes and inflation. The so-called fund is a myth. Yahoo. When a blueberry isn't even a berry. Imitation blueberries are used in many processed foods and contain no real fruit. Some products that do contain fruit get it from concentrates and add GMO corn syrup and petrochemical colors. You may hate it, but you need to know. The delish. Southern California desert is home to a $170 million mock city the size of downtown San Diego that is used for military war games. It has underground tunnels and 1,560 mock buildings. The military considers urban warfare and control of civilian population to be a major part of future operations. MSNBC, does that tell you something? Tells me that they're getting ready to crack down with a police state because they're practicing to go after us, the civilians. We're the terrorists, don't you know? Study of coexit dispersant used in the Gulf oil spill looked at how long it takes to degrade but failed to investigate its toxicity. The primary concern over coexit never was over how long it would last, but what harm it does to living things, including humans. Yahoo. U.S. House Republicans are proposing an audit and funding cut of subsidies to the United Nations. Sounds like a good thing, actually. The U.S. is the largest single contributor. Dues are mandatory and pays 22% of its regular budget plus 27% of its so-called peacekeeping operations. The speeches are good. Now let's see if they carry through. Why not just get out of the UN completely instead of quibbling over how much it cost? U.S. Rand Corporation released a study concluding that alternative fuels from corn and other seed oils, waste oils, and algae are of no value to the military and are not presently useful to the nation. The recommendation is to reconsider supporting these so-called renewable resources. Alcohol and hemp were not included in this study, which would actually make it better. Actually, if they've done alcohol and hemp into the study, it would have made it better, but they didn't, because those are what will cure the fuel crisis in America. China plans new megacity to merge 6 cities together and create a metropolis of 42 million people, 26 times larger than London. This is in compliance with the UN's Agenda 21. You know, stack people together and put them in little cages and make them just far enough so they can walk to their work and walk home and sleep and go back to work and walk home and sleep and eat and whatnot, which calls for bringing people out of the countryside. That's right, you can't live in the countryside. That belongs to the elitist. You're using their resource being in the countryside, where they can live fairly independently into cities where they can be monitored and controlled. Of course, They need the chattel, the humans controlled. U.S. insurance companies sue Bank of America over massive mortgage fraud and says that 91% of security loans, such as mortgages and auto loans, are misrepresentative. Zero hedge. Chicago artist selling wares on the street recorded his own arrest and may be sentenced up to 15 years under the Eavesdropping Act, which prohibits photographing or video recording police officers. Oh yes, they can film you and record you, but my God, don't do this in America. There's no freedom of speech here. Tax-exempt organizations that claim the fight against genetically modified food are funded by groups that promote GMOs. This is a classic example of controlled opposition. Farm Wars. I like that website. U.S. House of Republicans are preparing a bill to require internet service providers to track all users' activity for review by police. That's right. You thought you were being spied on before. Ooh, now you're going to be watched and traced. These are the same politicians who campaigned on behalf of personal rights and privacy and pledged to restore the Constitution. Both major parties are dedicated to collectivism. Look that word up. You'll find out what that is all about. It's control and dominate. Oil-eating bacteria has been released into the Gulf of Mexico to help clean up the BP oil spill. That's good news. The bad news is that instead of using natural bacteria, which is harmless to marine life, they release genetically engineered superbacteria that works twice as fast, but also is suspected of destroying marine life and possibly posing a health hazard to humans. Yes, it could infect you and eat you. Yes, these people are loving. They're loving mad scientists. U.S. FEMA and Department of Homeland Security are seeking 140 million packets of food, blankets, and body bags. They are especially interested in stockpiling in states adjacent to the Gulf of Mexico. Do you have your emergency supplies yet? Because they need to get you off their property down there. And they're killing you right now with the oil poisons and the co-exit. U.S. Treasury Secretary Geithner threatens Congress that if the debt ceiling is not raised, default on the U.S. debt is imminent, leading to economic chaos, and lifting the ceiling will allow the Fed to create even more money. They just love printing counterfeit money. Congress will comply. Rampant inflation is on the way, along with increased taxation. Ooh, you better be ready for that. This is what these crazies out there are doing. UN, a $21.7 billion foundation called the Global Fund, backed by celebrities and held as an alternative to the bureaucracy at the UN, has 67% of its budget eaten up by corruption. The money is accounted for with forged documents and bogus bookkeeping, indicating it was pocketed. Donated drugs are sold on the black market. U.S. government pledges $1 billion corporate welfare to pharmaceutical companies to help develop new drugs. That's why Big Pharma is the most profitable industry in the world, but yet they're going to get subsidized by our government. Isn't that something? And you should see a video where a guy says it cost him 2 cents to make a bottle of pills, but charged $200 and something. That's a 15,000% or 1,500% raise in the price of the drug. With that kind of money, they can buy politicians to plunder taxpayers to deliver even more profit. That's how collectivism works. I'm telling you, you got to look up collectivism. Dutch researchers are promoting the replacement of meat with insects and worms as a way to deal with food shortages that are predicted for the near future, created by Agenda 21 in the New World Order. New Mexico man is acquitted after filming TSA and police in public area of New Mexico airport. Video shown here captured the confrontation. Well, I think that's about it. I don't think I can go on any further. You'll have to go to the link that I show you and read the rest of the story. Until next time, this is Spellbinder with Spellbinder Report Headlines. And be good at it. And try to keep out of the way of being captured by the government in their ploys of evilness.